In this video, we will see how to associate an invoice to an AP offset. So usually, when we have a vendor invoice, we have debits and credits being generated. Debits and credits. The debits are the cost that the invoice is generating, and the credit is the vendor payable that is going to be registered once the invoice is posted. So to determine the coding for that vendor payable, the GL coding, we need to provide something that's called the AP offset code. And that's done in the defaults tab in the invoice entry screen. So we call it AP offset code, but it's also called AP account. And it's basically a code that's going to give us the full FQA for where the credit for this transaction is going to go. So as you can see, in this particular case, we have a bunch of codes. So basically, this code here may not right out the bat let me know exactly what AP offset is being affected, what account, what other elements of the FQA are going to be affected, because it's just this code. So this is where I select the code. If I wanted to know what FQA is being affected, you can see that here in the account codes definition screen. If I go here and I look for my vendor code, this is the account, this is the FE, and these are the other FQA elements that are going to get the credit when we journalize this invoice. So that is how we associate the invoice to a specific AP offset, AP account, or AP code, which basically has an underlying FQA defined where the credit's going to go once the invoice is journalized and posted. But what allows me to see all these available codes here, in this case there's a bunch, but many times in different databases you'll just see one, maybe one per currency. So what gives me that ability, or what determines what I can see in this drop down, is in the entity maintenance screen we have something called account defaults. So here, for example, for COP, we have all these AP accounts or AP codes, and among them one is going to be the vendor's one. And so basically all of these that I have defined here will be available for selection here. If I don't want a certain code to appear, I would have to remove it from this currency. So sometimes you see customers that by mistake have entered in this AP account list both the offset for COP and the offset for USD, and so they start to code USD currencies to the wrong offset, and then they have to do reclasses, and they wonder why they can select that code under, say, COP if it's a USD AP code. And the reason is they have provided it in this list. So all you have to do is remove it from here, and then that value will no longer show up in this drop down. The other parameter that's going to affect this field is in vendor maintenance. We can set the parameter to be provided by default per currency. So in the default tab, we can say for entity 100 in currency COP, whenever we have this vendor for the invoice entry, always select this code. So that's going to make it so that instead of you having to go every time and selecting the code, it's going to be provided by the system, and then the user will simply verify that the code is correct. So basically we have those two parameters, one in the entity maintenance screen, the other in the vendor maintenance screen, which are going to affect this AP account or AP offset field in the invoice entry screen. Now this AP offset is going to have effect on multiple areas in the module. Particularly, if we're running, say, reports such as the H Open Payable report, we're able to run the report for specific AP offsets. Right, so if you don't want to see all of them, say for example you have AP offsets for vendor payables, but also you have that for intercompany payables, and you want to see intercompany, you would select the intercompany code to see just those transactions. So it has an effect on reporting. So you have it for in multiple reports. Same story here, payable account. You see we can select what payable account in this reconciliation report to look at, what AP offset code. And also, as you're generating disbursements, you can also select by the payable account or the offset code. Right, so you can go here and select the code you want to run this for. So this field is critical. It's really important that the user provides it or has set a default so that it's provided by the system. And also, it's very important that we have set up the entity in a way where only appropriate codes are available for selection, so that people don't make mistakes and end up entering invoices in the wrong AP offset.